Do you think the present federal laws restricting gun control are adequate?
Well, the present federal laws now in restricting handguns is not adequate in my mind. They are concerned mostly with the interstate shipment of guns and the people moving across the state line with weapons in their possession. And what I think must come about if we are, in fact, to begin bringing about some sort of better control in handgun usage and possession, I think it must come from a national scale, from a national effort, so that we can begin to have some unity in purpose here in trying to be more effective with restricting handgun usage and possession. I'm convinced that it must come on a national scale.
But people who oppose gun control say that if you make guns, if you require registration or licensing, that the bad guys, the criminals, will get the guns, and the murder rate will not be decreased. Do you feel that that's true?
No, I do not feel that's true. We have a gun law in New York, the Sullivan Law. It's not completely effective. The police commissioner of New York City, Patrick Murphy, has called for federal gun control because, as he says, people get guns in the states that don't have gun control and bring them into New York and commit the crimes. But even with that, with the fact that the gun control is not completely effective there, the murder rate by gun in New York and in the northeastern states is far lower than it is in the southwestern states. The availability of guns in the states without gun control is so much greater that it gets used that way.
As a police official, why are you concerned with controlling the use of handguns? Those who oppose gun control say that it's a deprivation of constitutional rights, and that you'll disarm the public and arm the other guys. The criminals will always have guns. How do you react?
Well, I think those people have a very valid concern, and I'm sympathetic with their concern. I'm also, though, very concerned about the illegal use of handguns, and I'm also concerned about accidental use of handguns, which leads to certain tragedies. For example, we've investigated 21 suicides this year, 1972 so far, and of the ones we've investigated, about 76% of those were with handguns. At the same time, we've investigated 133 attempt suicides, and only 3% of those involved handguns. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very obvious here that those who are really intent upon committing suicide will go to a handgun for that purpose.
I'm not in favor of any more gun control laws than we have already. It's already against the law to carry handguns on the streets, and I'm just not, I think we have sufficient laws if we were able to enforce them already.
You think then that there's no need to further restrict the carrying of handguns or require people to register when they purchase any handgun?
I believe that's right. I don't think we need any more.
Do you think that, why do you feel this way, sir?
Well, it's already against the law to be in possession of a handgun except in your own home. Mm-hmm. And I guess I subscribe to the old adage, home's a man's castle, and if he wants to have a handgun there, I think it's all right.
Personally, do you favor gun control legislation to require registration of handguns?
Yes, I think it would be good. I think it's certainly not going to eliminate crime by any means, but it would be another tool that the FBI and the police officers in general would have at their disposal in attacking crime, and I think it would be good. So it would seem to me like that to the extent that gun control registration is needed, that it would properly come from either the state level or the federal level, and I would prefer that the National Congress enact some type of National Gun Control Registration Act.
The reason the National Alliance took this position is that we are very much concerned about what is happening around the country in regard to the kinds of gun deaths. For instance, the FBI's Uniform Crime Reports in 1970 reported that in the 10 years prior to that, there was something like 680, I'm not sure of the precise figures, 680 deaths of policemen. 96% of those deaths were by guns. and the overwhelming majority of them were by handguns. In addition, of the 16,000 murders in 1970, according to the FBI, over 10,000 of them, at least 65%, were by guns, and over 8,000 of them by handguns.
What is the position of the National Rifle Association on further proposed gun control legislation?
Well, no longer being a member of their policy-making board, I can't speak for them, but I do know that their position is that they feel no further legislation is needed. So I think they would support any type of legislation which would further restrict these undesirable elements from obtaining guns. But really, the undesirable element obtains most of its guns by burglary and theft. And any control on sale is not going to solve that problem.